Hello, welcome to the Bearded Horror Review. My name is Dan, aka the Boogey Man, and on this show I will watch a horror movie, either a classic or a new release, talk about some good points, talk about some bad points if there are any of either, give it a rating out of 10 if I remember to do it, and let you know if I think the film is worth a watch or not, in my humble opinion. And a couple of years ago we got a film, The Exorcist Believer, and I didn't go see it at the time. I thought it looked really bad. I heard a lot of bad things, and I'm a huge fan of The Exorcist. So I know what the Exorcist sequels can be like. But the film is on Netflix now here in the UK. It's been put up there. So I watched it basically for free. So, I thought, why not go back and watch this film and talk about it a couple of years later and see if it still has that stink on it. So let's talk about it. So, The Exorcist Believer came out in 2023. It was directed, partially written by David Gordon Green, the guy behind the new Halloween trilogy, and we all know how that turned out. And this, at the time, was announced as another planned trilogy, which I'm very much against. Unless you have source material that requires a trilogy, don't go in planning trilogies and stuff, because it doesn't work. But this time it's different because there's two girls possessed. And so, like I said, this came out in 2023, so I'm going to do major spoilers. Also, I'm going to be doing spoilers because this fucking sucks! It still sucks. It sucks. It sucks in every single way, but there's lots of reasons why it sucks, and I want to get into that. It sucks as a film, and it sucks even more as an Exorcist film. So this is why I want to talk about it, have a kind of bit of a breakdown, of the film, and maybe me mentally. Let's talk about the film and see why it sucks, and this is how you do not make a movie.
What did you say?
Now, The Exorcist itself has had a bad history of films. The first Exorcist was it started a genre. It was new, it was incredible, it was a phenomenon. I'm even wearing my Reagan t-shirt right now. And it spawned every single possession film we have ever seen ever. And the first episode of this show, when it was a podcast film I ever did, was about The Exorcist. I adore that film. I adore the book. It's one of my favorite books. William Peter Blatty is a fantastic writer, and he was not involved in The Exorcist 2. I have a Patreon episode about The Exorcist 2. It's one of the worst things you could possibly ever see. But then The Exorcist 3 comes along, which is based on the book Legion, and that film is fantastic. And the reason why that film is fantastic is because it is not like The Exorcist. Now, that may sound strange for a film about The Exorcist and an Exorcist sequel, but that's another video for another day. But it works because it's not trying to redo the same thing. And that is why The Exorcist Believer does not work as a film. It is trying to do the same thing with modern tropes and modern writing, and it does it very poorly. This is a poor imitation, and barely in an Exorcist film. You could label this anything. You could have labeled it The Possession of the Two Girls, or the Pine Woods Exorcism, or whatever the hell you want it. You could call it anything instead of calling it The Exorcist Believer, and it would have been the exact same film. This is got cameos crammed into it. It has no real link bar those cameos to The Exorcist, and it doesn't even feel like The Exorcist. It doesn't carry like The Exorcist. It doesn't understand what The Exorcist and the Pazuzu kind of character that was in that first one was. It doesn't get it. I really enjoyed Halloween 2018. I will say that now. I did enjoy that film. And then I watched Halloween Kills, and I thought, it's not as good, but it's fine. And then I watched Halloween Ends, and I hated it. And I realized that it's all just references, and they don't actually know how to write these characters, how to write this story, how to make a compelling narrative. And the nostalgia demon wore off pretty damn quick. And that is the same problem that we have here with The Exorcist Believer. It is a nostalgia goblin, but doesn't even do that right. You know, it brings back Chris from the original film, which is Reagan's mother. But she is shoehorned in and she isn't really doing anything.
We've met before.
It doesn't take the time to make us care about these two girls. Before they disappear for a good 30 minutes of the runtime, we get about 5 minutes roughly with them, and we don't really care about them. They are generic teenagers, you know. They even do the thing of, oh, it's breakfast time with dad, and oh, the daughter doesn't eat meat anymore because she saw something about veganism and now she's a vegan. How many fucking times have we seen that in a film? We have seen it too many times. It's not fucking original. It's been done to fucking death. That is something that has been put in films, action, horror, thriller, since the fucking 90s. It is a 30-year-old trope, and you are shoehorning it into the Exorcist film. And I'm going to say this now. You're not cool. You tried to say and do things that sound scary and cool. And when I talk about that, I mean this.
Body in the blood. The body in the blood. The body in the blood. Catherine. The body in the blood. The body in the blood.
Stuff like that. And I just found this film extremely stupid. It is stupid and tedious, and it is just every single box ticking, this is what you put in an Exorcist film. And it's also, because of the year that it came out, 2023, it is also cemented in that era of all the white men suck. And, you know, it's about a white girl and a black girl. It has got all this subtle, not so subtle messaging in it. And it is just, it's just stereotype after burnt out trope after they even fucking quote the Jabberwock poem in it. Oh, that's never been done in a horror film before. Get fucked. Get fucked, David, whatever the fuck your name is. Get fucked, you piece of shit. Fuck. As a concept, because this is just, it's just so fed up with itself. It doesn't want to be original. And if this was originally setting up a trilogy, how was it? It has a fucking cameo with Reagan at the end for 30 seconds. It's just showing that these people can't write. Before we carry on, guys, if you can leave a like and subscribe, it's a little thing for you, but it really helps out the channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. I know I've ranted for ages and not said that much. So the plot of this film, is a man who in his younger years was in Africa with his pregnant wife. There was an earthquake or something, and his pregnant wife was hurt, and the child survived. And so he had to raise this baby on his own. She's now 13, and she has a friend at school. She's black, and the other girl is white. That is important to the narrative, because it is this clashing of culture kind of thing that happens between like westernized Christianity, and there is some African religious stuff in there as well. It is a clashing of the two. That is the point.
Exorcism is a ritual. Every culture, every religion, they all use different methods. It's going to take all of them. And
these girls are friends, and he's very protective of his daughter because, you know, the mum's dead. He's his last last conversation with his dying wife was he promised to protect their daughter. And they decide they hang out after school one day. They go into the woods and they don't come back for 3 days. And I understand that they probably wanted to focus on the father and his struggles and what could happen when your daughter goes missing and what do you do when they're possessed. And the original did that, looked at Chris and looked at what she was going through, but it also showed Reagan, and it showed her slowly going from this extremely sweet little girl to this extremely disturbing thing that was tied to a bed. We got to know her, we got to see her downfall. They spend that entire film ruling out, without a doubt, that she is possessed, with medical exams and stuff like that. And we get to see the mum losing her mind because nobody can help her. And her last resort is to ask a priest. And even the priest is like, exorcists aren't a real thing. They're usually because of psychology and mental health. And that's what he is recommended. But, you know, it's this whole thing where we look at the absolute, without a shadow of a doubt, that this girl is possessed and everything that's happening to her. She is rotting from the inside out because of whatever is in there with her. In this film, the girls are around for about 5 minutes, they disappear, they show back up 30 to 40 minutes later, and they're just already fucked. They're just like that. And 1 minute they look okay, but obviously they look disheveled and they're acting strange, and the next minute they look like the Elephant Man's children, and they're saying things that are references to the first film that aren't relevant to what is happening in this film. The reason why Reagan said a bunch of stuff in the first film, such as using the C-bomb, you want to know what she did, your seeing daughter? That's because the director that was pushed out of the window used to use the C-bomb all the time. It was part of his language. It wasn't very nice. He was a not very nice man. He was an alcoholic. And that is the point of that reference. It goes, oh my God, she pushed that man out the window. It is referencing something that is in that narrative. Same thing with your mother cooks socks in hell. It is a jab at the priest whose mother just died. He's very sensitive to it, and Pazuzu knows this. And taking those references and then just shoehorning them into a film that has no link to them other than going, do you remember The Exorcist? It's dumb. It doesn't work. They're member berries. And that's all this film is. It is a generic, tedious possession film with some member berries thrown in. And it has some of the dumbest dialogue I have heard for fucking years. It is so bad. I've got all my notes here and it is several pages long, and I'm looking at them now, and I just hate the fact that I've had to write these things down in a series that, yeah, it has its ups and downs. Exorcist 2 is terrible. Exorcist the Beginning and Dominion, they're not great. They are bad films. But you can remove them from the kind of the overarching narrative, because they don't fit. Exorcist 1, Exorcist 3, incredible movies, absolutely amazing. And then you've got this, and it's just a nothing. It's no link to those films. Even the Exorcist 3 has links to the first. It follows the detective rather than Chris all up, because William Peter Blatty, who wrote the film and the book, knew that you can't just tell the same story again. But that's what this is. That's what the Exorcist Believer is. It's just trying to tell the same story again. But again, what if this time 2 girls were possessed? But we don't understand why they're possessed. They went into the woods, did some kind of ritual, and now are possessed. By who or by what? Chris alludes that it's a Pazuzu, but it doesn't really act or sound that much like Pazuzu. They try and do the voice, but it doesn't make sense that is going on. It's really loosely done, and it's very, very tedious. And the film simply just wants shock value. It does some moments with shock value. It does some moments of, just member berries. It doesn't make sense in a realistic way, especially because the film tries to do moments to show the realism of things. Like when these girls return from the woods, then they've been missing for 3 days, they have to go through all kinds of exams, including checks on their childhood is intact and stuff like that. So it's really kind of grounded in reality, these things that they have to go through, and they're invasive. And then they have a girl headbutt a window and crack it, and the doctor says she's fine and she's okay to go home. What? They have a girl able to be taken out of a mental asylum in the middle of the night to go into a house where they're going to perform an exorcism, where everybody on the street is in on it and thinks it's going to work. Why would they? Why would they think any of this? It brings back Chris just to have her eye stabbed out with a cross because, she was attacked with a cross in the original. She doesn't do that. She wrote a book about her experience with Reagan, and that's her only tenuous link to this film. She doesn't fucking do anything in this. She doesn't fucking do anything. And this is the problem with it. This is why it sucks. It is just tedious, generic, slap on some fucking logos and names, and boom, we've got a film. But it's not even a good film if you remove those. It's slow, it's boring, it's got every single trope in it that you can think about. This is a copy of a copy. It sucks. And I don't understand how they thought this was a good idea. I genuinely can't. There's even stupid mistakes in it, like the lip syncing is off. This is a high budget Hollywood film, and they couldn't even get the lip syncing right. The voices are completely off from the mouths at one point when they're trying to do the dubbing of the demon that's in there. And the end as well. It's just a bunch of people standing around while one person reads a Bible verse, and then they're all standing around going, oh my God, oh Jesus, what's happening? Oh my God, what has that got? What? Ah! How is that good? How is it? It doesn't make any sense. And the reason why the first one was so good in the exorcism scene, because it showed how tiring it was and how it was slowly just breaking everybody down, and it was personable because it was basically two people in a room fighting their own demons as well. Father Merrin was fighting his age and his illness and his bad heart and the fact that he had faced this demon before and almost lost. And Father Keris was fighting his disbelief. He didn't believe in God anymore. He didn't want to do this anymore. He was roped into this. He was fighting that disbelief. He was fighting this apathy that he had, and this demon was the center of it for the both of them, and the cost was this child's life. This film is just a bunch of people that immediately believe that this is a demon, and it's two kids who just disappeared and then came back, and not really much happens between them. That immediately just kind of locked away, and it's just a bunch of adults arguing about Jesus, and then eventually one of them's not possessed and one of them dies. But obviously it's a bait and switch because the white parents suck, because white people suck. It's fucking atrocious. And I can't understand any of the decisions and how they thought this was a good Exorcist follow-up, and how the fuck they thought this was going to be a trilogy. Stop trying to make trilogies. Make one good movie, and then if it works, continue the story. It's simple as that. So yeah, I again, for the third time this year, this is a 1 out of 10. This film is just bad. It's not good. There's so many things I want to talk about, but that would make this like a 50-minute, 1 hour long video, and I'd be breaking all these little things down. But there's so many problems with it. Scripting, the directing, it's just terrible. And it's like I said, it's a generic member berry using the Exorcist name to try and be clever and be a bigger seller. If this was, like I said, if this was just called The Ghost Girls or The Fucking Possession of the Little Teens, I don't fucking know, no one would have gone to see it. This would have been a B movie that barely made any money. But because it's got the Exorcist name on it, and that's all they do. That's all they do. They trick you out your money by slapping a name on it and having this terrible thing. But what did you think about The Exorcist Believer? Did you like it or not? Could you give a flying fuck? I don't know, let me know down in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you want to see more rants and actual reviews and retrospectives and trailer reactions. And don't forget to head over to my Patreon to get some exclusive content, and it really supports the channel a lot. And follow me on social media, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And until the next time, guys, happy watching.